Good evening, traders. It's August 16th, and today I wanted to talk about two topics. One is a bit more about a strategy that I use a lot in my trading, and the other is context switching within that strategy. There were some great opportunities today, some good volatility with FOMC a little bit later in the day. I failed to capitalize on a few of these, but I still want to review and talk about some of these setups and how you can still utilize an idea even if it goes in the opposite direction. So let's start off at the beginning of the day here. We did start with kind of a rather balanced pre-market session. Balanced to kind of bearish in nature. But when we got the opening bell and volume started to come in, there was some bullish activity in coming out of this consolidation kind of on the lower end of the pre-market range. And we did find some buyers here that were trying to lift price pretty aggressively to the upside. When I see big aggressive orders and these consistent moves up for a few points, that all typically leans pretty bullish to me. And we did start to see the volatility index, the VIX, come down right at the open as well. That also gave extra indication that we would see some upside movement. So I had not placed a trade. I was still looking for a setup. But what I like right here in this region is that we do consolidate, we find these aggressive buyers, we break out above, retest, and then get a very nice move to the upside. And so this immediately becomes an area of interest for me, this area right here, because we moved quickly away from that area. There's a potential chance for institutional players to have unfilled orders still waiting at this area. So this becomes my area of interest. Kind of 44.52 would be the sweet spot. And so my thesis going forward was to see if we would get any retracements back into this area to try to take those along for continuation. We did get some consolidation and continuation up here through the first, say, hour of the day, and the best opportunity to capitalize on this setup did come on this sell-off at about 7 o'clock Pacific time. We came into it. I was watching closely to see if there was a good area to try to get long. I was also being pretty nitpicky too, wanting to see if we would at least test right here into 52. So I did not capitalize on this move. I did actually take a little starter up higher, anticipating that we wouldn't come back down to this range. But as soon as we started to test into it, I wanted to see if we would get down to where this move initiated. So failed opportunity there to try to jump in within a few points of the range. But you can see that there was a response. We did get into this area and we did get a response out of it for about 12 points. So not a bad opportunity, just couldn't capitalize there. And then we ended up forming this kind of a triple top with like repeated absorption happening on the top end. And for people inclined to play more of a bearish angle today, there's maybe some good signals up there. I was not watching that. I was still focused personally on this region and seeing if we tested into here. And this is what I want to talk about for context switching. We did test back into the 52 range and ended up getting some very aggressive selling right through. We just went right through it. There was no no good confirmation for longs here personally. Once we breached below, and then we saw buyers, but they're unable to carry price above this 52 area where we had launched off earlier, and we got stuck repeatedly kind of stuck and exhausted out at that level. I did not see an opportunity to get long based on the order flow that was happening at this time. So context switching comes into play. It's like, well, if we're not getting long here, and my thesis is that I really believe in this level, then which way could it go? Down, obviously. So we did see exhaustion and sell-off and a retracement right back to that level again. That is an opportunity, low-risk opportunity, to maybe put stops just a few points above some of these levels and put some risk on back here on this retracement based on some of these aggressive selling here, and then some of this move down here kind of providing the inverse idea. So knowing that we're below this area and that we're seeing these aggressive sellers, we just flip the thesis around. Again, failed to capitalize, but it's always good to review these ideas so that you can take those with you into the next trading day and beyond. So this, again, good for at least, what are we looking at, 52 to 42, so 10 points or so down to the downside. And then we had a bit of pressure, kind of rather unexpected selling pressure. What was a bit of a surprise to me was that the volatility index did not ever break the high of day, pre-market high, until late in the day. So that was really holding me back from initiating in some of these shorts. Just they seemed like they may be lower probability because the volatility index was not signaling further downside pressure. So I kind of stayed away from shorts, even though we had breached that area, and was still committed to trying some longs. So here's another interesting opportunity here that didn't quite work out in my favor timing-wise, and then I did not reinitiate an entry. FOMC minutes came out, and there was this volatile reaction to the downside. We had rather good buying response and high volume, culminating down here in the 35 range. So I did take a starter position long, anticipating that we might reverse because the FOMC news was rather mixed. There were participants on both sides. You know, some are dovish, some are a little bit more hawkish. It was kind of mixed news, so I wasn't expecting a lot of continuation in either direction. And we also had, again, the volatility index not really signaling a lot of added pressure as we closed the end of the day. So I got stopped at break even after we failed to see progress from these buyers here, unable to push price up above these levels, stopped out, waited to see what would happen. Additional high volume selling pressure. Here was probably the prime opportunity of the afternoon in my eyes for the long side, is seeing that these sellers are putting the pressure on. We get another attempt, they fail to proceed lower, and then we get a move back up to the initiation point here with some added buying. So this opportunity where we push, I see I have a line in the sand here at about 35. I was liking that as long as we were able to stay above where these sellers initiated, that they would be stuck underwater on their position and would be looking, when price was all the way up here, probably sweating a little bit, potentially looking to cover. So if price did get back here and they were thinking this trend is over, I want to get out, that'll fuel the move higher. Missed my entry again. So many lost opportunities today. Missed the entry on that one. Was again too stingy with this. Was like really way too stingy, wanting to get just another point or so to get my risk super tight, and it didn't present. And so I didn't get any position on that. And what did we get? 35 up to 50. Nice little run there, and there was really minimal pullback to worry about. But this is a great signal. I love this when we get these heavy selling coming in. There's a secondary attempt after some nice kind of buying immediately, like a V shape buying, like right out of there. Another attempt failed. Pressure is on. We get this kind of weaker selling. That's the place that you try to initiate those moves when the odds are in your favor that these guys are going to get squeezed. So they did. Here's another potential entry opportunity at this 52 level again as we push back up. Just trying to read the price action here because we have established from earlier that the 52 level was a key area of confluence between buyers and sellers. We saw the dramatic move up in the open, and we saw the dramatic move down midday. So returning to this level, there was once again some kind of mixed signals from the bearish perspective from my side of things, looking at where the VIX was at the moment and where some of the order flow was going. Like, I was not seeing any extremely strong selling compared to the amount of buying here, but I do like what we have, these passives coming in and stepping passive sellers here and here, kind of stepping up and defending. But usually I look for a little bit more of an aggressive response from buyers in this area. And with so much aggression coming up here, we had aggression. Coming up here, we had buying aggression. The downside looked fairly limited to me from that perspective of looking at where and how hard these buyers hit. I expected more so that we would get bounces. That we'd come down, we would bounce, and we'd probably continue up from some of these levels. So I just didn't see that as a higher probability entry there. But that level did prove to be a very valuable one throughout the day, the 52 level. So there's the recap. Just talking context switching, talking about those volatile, high volume moves away from areas, and then looking for those retracements to see how price reacts at those. Everyone, I hope you had a great day, and until next time, trade on.